Good evening. You're listening to Ripon Common Sense Radio. Thanks for joining us live. The broadcast will begin in just a few moments. If you are listening on YouTube, please say hello in the chat or the video comments below. The program will begin shortly.
Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Ripon Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy. The captain has turned on the seatbelt sign.
Here we go. Good evening and welcome to a special broadcast of Common Sense Council, the second Tuesday of the month, where we put the spotlight on the Ripon Common Council. For tonight, Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I can tell you, it is going to be a show like no other, perhaps, if we actually get a stream. Who knows? Hello, Earl Taylor. Good evening, Raider champion. Thanks for being here. I'm going to tell you, we have perhaps an interesting subject on the agenda tonight, so let's jump right into it. Over here on the YouTube channel for Ripon, we're waiting for their live stream to come in. But in the meantime, you can pay attention to your own local city councils by visiting your city website, going to the agenda portion, finding your city council agenda. In this case, it's quite a rabbit hole on itself. But for December 14th, here's what we've got tonight on the lineup for the City of Ripon Common Council. It's going to start at 7 p.m. with a call to order. And then, of course, the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation tonight by Peg Salmela. Salmela? Did I say that right? And then they'll move right into the approval of the agenda. And then, still on the topic, which I'm actually surprised. I thought that they perhaps would remove this portion by now, but you can see it's still there. Public communications and comments. Hopefully, we'll hear some this evening because after they accept all of the reports and consent to the calendar, their action items tonight, some very important topics. The Senior Center, which is a completely 100% project that we do support taking place in Ripon. The Business Improvement District and their operating plan will be action 2. Then the Shared Ride Taxi Operating Contract and Lease Agreement will be discussed and actioned upon. Then the council confirmation of a finance director and the assistant city administrator, and then appoint election inspectors, special voting deputies, election registration officials, and municipal board of canvass members for the 2022-23 election cycle. This ought to be an interesting topic. Authorize city administrator to seek applicants for the city clerk position. And then the big discussion item of the evening is whether or not ATVs or all-trained vehicle route ordinance should be changed. So the routes last appeared on the council agenda of 6/28/21, and there apparently remains, some sort of a issue, but several people wanting to see the ATV route ordinance discussion tonight. And then, of course, mayor's communications and agenda items for any future council meetings. And then, of course, the big adjournment will take place tonight. But that's the lineup expected to take place. We'll see what's going to happen here tonight. It's a hit or miss sometimes. But good evening and welcome to JoJo's for being here tonight. It's going to be fun, never to say the less, because a lot of these people we've seen on the programs before. City clerk position, Ann Summers is quitting, says Maggie Zays. Apparently so. Let's go back to that. Let's take a look. Earl Taylor says, I wonder how long before the council is subcontracted. Oh my goodness, could you imagine if that were the case? It's good question, Earl, says Maggie Zays. It's almost right about there, but we'll see. We're waiting for that feed to come in. It's 6:54 Ripon time locally right now. So it should be any moment if it's going to happen. If it's not going to happen, then unfortunately, that's it. That's all we can do. But let's look. I think I saw something about that in the notes. Let's transition back over to the council agenda. Okay. So staff note, the city clerk has notified the city of plans to retire in 2022. Staff seeks authorization to seek applicants for the position. Included is a proposal for recruitment services for consideration as an option to assist with the filing the position. So yes, it does look like the city clerk plans to retire in 2022. Good evening, Michael Fontaine. Hello, everyone. Just checking in to say I'm not home at the moment, taking a bus ride, and I'm heading home. Good for you, Michael. Let's find out. Let's see. Are we getting closer here? We're a few moments away. Here we are. We are live now from the Ripon Common Council. So it will be just a few more moments, and we will tap into the agenda that we just spoke about. And I'm curious to see what's actually going to be in store for us on that discussion about the all-trained vehicles. It's going to be very interesting to see nonetheless. Some of the characters we expect to see this evening in the performance is, of course, the mayor. Mayor will be there. The city attorney most likely will be there, and hopefully we'll have a quorum with all of the aldermen present tonight. Jim Wirch missed a few of the earlier ones that happened back in October, September, and even November. But now, Al Schrader, expected to be in the House tonight as well, has released information that he's stepping down. After many years of tenure, Al Schrader is going to call it quits. We'll see if he's there tonight. Of course, Jolene Schatzinger, Alderman Jolene Schatzinger, expected to be in the House tonight. We'll see where the discussions go. It's always interesting, as of course, like I said, lots of information on the agenda tonight. But we expect the call to order, the roll call, taking place at any moment here. Tap into the audio feed. Any moment for the Ripon Common Council meeting of December 14th, 2021. Look at some of your comments. Maggie's Ace, Raider, Voldemort. I'm on the small screen tonight. Retire. Is she even 60 years old? I don't know. Did she come into money? Perhaps so. Maybe she won the lottery. I don't know. These are the types of questions for the curious. I'm curious to see if this thing's going to kick off on time tonight at 4:58 in Ripon, Wisconsin. Let's look at what the temperature is there in Ripon tonight. The Ripon Rabbit Hole gives us up-to-date weather information.
Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio.
Yes, we know that. All right, let's see. What does it say? 38 degrees and falling in Ripon, Wisconsin tonight. Oh my goodness. That is cold. Overcast with wind 12 miles per hour out of the southeast, and a high wind watch in effect tonight as we await the Common Council meeting for December 14th, 2021. We'll find out. Are we going to be on time tonight? Here we are. I think so. 7 p.m. It's an amended agenda tonight. Call to order and roll call, followed by your Pledge of Allegiance and your invocation, led by Peg Salmella. Your approval of the agenda on to public communications and comments. We'll see. Got a big ATV question on the lineup tonight. All right, 7 p.m. now, local Wisconsin time. Any moment now, we should expect to see and hear our live feed
Rabbit Hole
from
is a
within
radio.
the council.
At time.
Let's see. Still holding off. Maybe because I paused it. There we go. We are live. We have no live feed now, so it's 7 p.m. At any moment we should expect. I can't watch the Choir of Castrati. 46 in SoCal. Oh my goodness, that's cold. It's storming here in Las Vegas tonight as well. Really not cool. Not cool at all. All right, so we are officially a minute delayed according to the time frame. We're now on the administration schedule. Very typical. What happens sometimes. Maybe somebody forgot to push the button, maybe, on their end. I don't know. We'll see. At any given Tuesday, which is always the second Tuesday of the month, followed by the fourth Monday of the month, the Ripon Common Council should come to order at 7 p.m. It should be called to order, followed by a roll call, Pledge of Allegiance. Now, we are on the Ripon channel. We've got 5 people watching live on that channel over there, and we don't have any view inside this evening. Looks like no view, as there's no live view. So one could only wonder why we're at 5:02 Pacific time now, 7:02 in Ripon, and we do not have any kind of a connection. Here it is.
7:02. I will call the meeting to order.
7:02.
We have roll call, please.
Mr. Schrader. Here. Mrs. Schatzinger. Here. Mr. Hanson. Here. Mr. Gallops. Here. Mrs. Kane. Here. Mr. Gotsky.
Here.
Mr. Wirch.
Here.
Mr. Split.
Here.
We have a quorum.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A reading from the 85th Psalm. Steadfast love and faithfulness will meet. Righteousness and peace will kiss each other. The Lord will give what is good, and our land will yield its increase. Righteousness will go before him and will make a path for his steps. We pray. Good and gracious God, be present with us now to bless this meeting. Bless the citizenry and leaders here to move and to do what is necessary to walk on a path of righteousness and goodness for our community and all who live here. We pray in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved. All right. Public comment. This is the opportunity for citizens to come before the council with comments and concerns on any current city issue, knowing no action may be taken tonight. I ask that you keep it civil and respectful and within 5 minutes. However, discussion of personnel or individual members of the Common Council shall not be permitted. I expect you to be respectful, and in return, I expect the council to treat the citizens with the same respect. Before you begin, please state your name and address for the record. First, we have Mike Boskeljohn.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Mike Boskeljohn. I live at 210 West Thorne Street. I just wanted to take the opportunity tonight to formally and publicly announce my candidacy for District 4 for City Council. I was able to turn in all my paperwork last week, and with the meeting tonight, I wanted to just take the opportunity to do that. I look forward to hopefully getting elected and joining you all in this great work for the great city. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Next, we have Chad Ritter. Ritter.
I'm Chad Ritter. I'm actually from Ripon. I'm here for the ATV clubs, particularly the Country Roads ATV Club. We spoke several months ago with you folks about the ATV ordinance, and our hopes that this council would hopefully bring something forward as a ordinance for ATV use in the city. I know at that time there was a lot of discussion about being concerned that Ripon would be an island in that they would be the first ones to pass an ordinance, and therefore that people couldn't really go anywhere because it would just be open in the city. Now that is completely flipped. Now everything surrounding the city of Ripon is open for ATVs. So it's our hope that we keep moving this forward, keep having the discussion. Hopefully you would bring it off the table. As my understanding, it's been tabled for quite some time. It's my understanding there is an ordinance that's been proposed, or at least presented for being looked at, excuse me. And we, hope that maybe that the council would move on, at least discussing that tonight. If there's any questions from a perspective of concerns, again, as I did last time, be more than happy to answer those whenever the council may want to ask those questions regarding any other ordinance, how it's been going in other areas, any things that are concerns that an ordinance might not cover that we can assure you could end up being covered by the current DNR laws and things like that. We're pretty well versed in all those things. So please, if there's any questions that the council might have regarding that, I don't know, I call myself an expert witness, but I do have a lot of familiarization with those things. And again, mostly just for your folks in town here that do enjoy riding ATVs and UTVs as a form of recreation, to be able to go out and enjoy the weather, enjoy time with their families. Now they can do that in a much broader scope because of the things that are open around the city, but they've got to be able to get there. And as one gentleman said at another meeting, he said, I'm too old to put this thing on a trailer and have to trailer it somewhere to unload it so that my wife and I can go and enjoy a nice ride on a nice day. But if I can leave from my house and go do it, it would be something that, they would enjoy in their elder years to be able to do. And I think that goes through all ages of people wanting to be able to get out and do good quality recreation. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right. Next up is accepting the informal reports from standing committees and staff. Is there a motion to approve as published?
Motion to approve.
Been moved by John Split, seconded by David. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Those are accepted. Next is the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve this as published?
Move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Moved by Al, seconded by Howard. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent calendar say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is approved. Moving right into our first action item. This is the Senior Center Trailhead project update. We have MSA here to give us an update, unless Adam wants to start.
It's Carter.
Yeah. Go ahead, Carter.
Good evening, everyone. Back again to talk a little bit more about the Grace and Lloyd Mitchell Senior Activity Center and Trailhead project. One you're probably well familiar with, I think, from past discussions. We've been continuing on the development of the drawings and specifications, and with the recent approval of the additional services to incorporate the potential trail work around the facility, we started on that work as well, and we had that surveying mostly done after our meeting today. There might be a little bit more we're going to do, but nonetheless, we're proceeding with things on schedule. And just wanted to tonight to have the opportunity to share a little bit where we're at right now, and ultimately the goal is to have permission to release the project for bidding and advertising as we move forward. Well, for some of the trail work, we had a meeting today with Howard, Mike, and Adam, and Dan Rayner, the civil engineer on the project. So we got to work through, what you're seeing here has been some of the trails that were initially proposed, and we worked through some details on some things, and we have a final direction to proceed. So we're going to be working ahead to get that wrapped up pretty rapidly here to try to get it ready for release for bidding. And if you have any specific questions, please interject. I don't want to take too much of your time tonight. just to kind of give you an update and answer your questions. So the site is developing nicely around the senior center, developed the parking lot for great access for use of the facility with some one-way drives and work through some interchange at the intersection developments to make that a four-way stop for safety. As far as the building design, it stays much like you've seen it. Since we last got together and spoke about the project, we kind of worked through a lot more of the details. Everything from looking at the roofing materials, which we're looking at using actually a metal shingle versus standing seam to kind of blend into the neighborhood. And then we worked through other details like looking at the brick and picking the siding with the 30-year finish warranty, and worked through things on the interior like use of ceramic tile and other finishes, as well as like solid surface countertops and such. So we worked through those sort of details with the group, the leadership group. And I'm just working through some seating layouts and such. I'm just kind of putting the finishing touches on the project and just talk a little bit about the timeline and where we're at and where we're going. Right now, the schedule for the grant itself is to have complete construction by October. Which in the construction world and these days especially, that's a pretty quick schedule. So our goal is to get it out for bidding. And right now we're scheduled to release it right after the New Year's holiday in the first week of January. And the tentative schedule is to go ahead and release it for bidding, have a bid opening on February 1, and have it prepped for the February 8th city council meeting. And so that's our tentative plan to proceed. And so with that, cost for the project are basically falling in line with what we proposed previously. This little summary kind of lists the facility costs themselves with the site improvements totaling about $1.6 million. And then we have a number of alternate bids, and that's going to be the trail work. So we have the trail work set up to be different options with either paid or not paid. So the cost considerations can come to bear when you kind of select the aspect of the trail. And it would deal with the Muscooten connection off to the east, and then also looking for laying the groundwork for the eventual Northwestern Trail connection and starting some of that work in this project as well. And then total project at about 1.96 with all in kind of cost numbers. And overall, that's my quick summary. I'm sure maybe leads to some questions you might have. But, that's what I have for you so far tonight.
Any questions for Carter?
So tonight, we're looking for a motion to authorize the release of the bids for the project, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that would be correct. So if you want to take a step, if you want to go back and just kind of look at the floor plan.
Sure.
This is kind of the final floor plan. There's been some minor tweaks within it. Like Carter said, we had met and talked a little bit about some of the materials and made some just recommendations to put in the bid. So, you know, like metal shingle roofing versus just regular shingles or standing seam. You know, talked very basically about colors and things like that. That'll come sort of later. But of just how it all looks. Siding we talked about. Just getting products that will not wear and don't look cheap as well. They may have a little bit more of a cost, but they have a benefit of lasting longer and looking nicer. So all within the budget. I think, you know, he's got some floor plans there kind of saying what the capacity is of the space, how it could be set up in different ways. You know, and not to get too far into it, but I think there are 3 furnaces and it's all based on code and spec. So there's 1 family restroom, then 2 men's and women's, and then 2 restrooms on the outside over by the covered shelter. all those materials we've discussed about, again, to make sure they're not going to, you know, they're going to last and not wear. So we're looking kind of, this is the basic look as what it hasn't changed much. To keep it on track, we're looking to get authorization to bid it out on the schedule. And then bids would be due February 1st. So that's the general idea. Yeah.
Mayor, with that, I would move to approve authorization to release the bids for the project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Al, seconded by Howard. Any discussion? Julian?
It seems to me there has been good discussion, and especially also under City Administrator Adam to oversee this. I assume with Noreen, our senior guest, you're shaking your head. So I have faith that it's hard for me because I don't think we have the copy of that, right, to see all of the details on the screen here. But nor do I guess I need to see all the details. That being said, moving forward, I mean, there are small things that we don't need to get into weeds about, but it was just mentioned, for example, that there's a men's and women's bathroom. I think that this space would serve the community best by being the most flexible possible for some of the common areas. And even the bathrooms, I just wonder why we don't call it family bathrooms, as an example.
Can I check a little bit? We do have family restrooms are labeled as such. You know, so we have one in the common family restroom for the interior, and then the exterior ones are family restrooms as well. So ultimately, we have 3 family restrooms in the facility, and then we have the designated multi-occupant restrooms as well that are directly off the main room. So.
There are baby changing stations. There have been, we've talked about what toddler seat. We've those are in.
Happy to hear it.
So.
Any further questions or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing MSA to release bids for the project, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you, Carter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the Business Improvement District Operating Plan. Do we have anyone from the bid here? Yes.
Yes.
There you are. EJ and Craig. Thank you. You want to just give us an overview of what changes there may have been and what our plans are for the future?
Sure. So basically, there's not a lot of difference between this document and the previous document. If you go to page 2, the change that we have is we're moving, I believe, at the end of this meeting, we'll have 3 members renewing their terms: TJ Rogers, David Smith, and Sarah Little. If you go to page 4, there's a change in the item C, proposed expenditures and financing method. So the bid is expected to generate $69,277, which is up about $5,000 from the previous year, which was at $63,956. On page 5, one of the items that's required is that we have a bid board meeting that took place on December 10th, and this plan was approved by all 7 members that were, it was unanimous. That was in attendance. The one thing I'd like to point out right below that paragraph, just the district continues to improve its economic value and health. So we're up to 19.79 million assessed value as compared to 18.27. So we're year after year we're gaining ground on that. And otherwise, the other changes happen at the end of the document. I believe it's page 22 in the bid summary. Items that the bid board has highlighted. Wayfinding signage is a priority. That's at the bottom of page 22. As well as continuing the enhancement of the district with landscaping and of that nature, with the village green becoming a priority item. There's other items on our capital wish list. It all depends on where funding falls in place. But the first two are priorities that we believe we can achieve. If you look at page 23, just pointing out that we're continuing with our events. We've had our best year ever in terms of attendance, revenue generation by other events. Christmas in the Village, our best ever. Small Business Saturday was really good. Holiday Wine Walk and Spring Wine Walk continue to sell out year after year. And the Summer Concert Series was the best in its history. And Scooping the Loop. It was a little bit rainy this year, but we'll bring that back next year. And otherwise, we turn the page to the final page 24. It just outlines that we're going to continue to do landscaping and flower planters at the bottom of the bullet points at the bottom of the page. Continue the streetscape. We still have to complete the banners for Blackburn Street as well as new banners for Watson. And some tree planting on Blackburn, Jackson, and Fond du Lac. And then we plan design becomes a priority for 2022.
So, in short, we're recommending that no increase in taxes be made to keep it the same mill rate as we had before. So, thanks for the sum. Appreciate it.
All right.
I get nervous. You've been after 30 years.
You did great. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Craig or TJ?
I will add some of the things that I see on here have been items that multiple people in the community and downtown have on their wish list. So it's really neat to see that things align, such as ADA accessibility for storefronts. I've had people who are looking at moving to the area ask about what is it bike friendly downtown? I see the bike repair station. You have wayfinding signage. People have asked about that. Also, they'd like to see with that event signage. So anyways, my point is, I'm really pleased to hear that the things that are proposed are things that I hear people talking about and wanting.
Yeah, and these are things that it's on our wish list for the future. So it may not be accomplished in 2022, but it's still there. It's something that a lot of these projects take several years to accomplish, and we'll just keep working at it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think has been accomplished by the bid as well as Ripon Main Street over the last 3 years is really doing a lot of community outreach, as well as, the things that we've done to try to hear a lot of that feedback. So all of that has been incorporated into the recommendations and will continue. So.
Thanks.
Just for the benefit of the council, I would comment that obviously this is excellent to see this timely and detailed. We had some periods of time in our history where this did not come forward as it should, and so I'm very excited about what the bid is doing from maintaining organizational discipline and making sure that the common council is involved in this process. So thank you for the presentation.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Any further questions for these two?
I'd just like to say thank you for all the hard work that you guys continue to put into downtown. It's changed a lot in the decade that we've been here, and so it's great to see so much of this. It pays off, so thank you very much.
Oh, well, thank you, and it takes everybody embracing it, and it's been a great process, I think. And so excited for what the future holds for our community too. So.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to approve and accept this operating plan?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paige, seconded by Jolene. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the bid operating plan, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Next item is the 2022 Shared Ride Taxi Operating Contract and Lease Agreement. Adam.
Yes, so in previous years, you had authorized the city to apply for the state funding for the shared ride taxi services. Well, I did that without your approval, so we just kept that rolling. Part of it was I didn't know, so I apologize. But we have to do that every year. So that's been submitted. This part of it is actually, we had to go through an RFP process for the first time in 5 years. So that entailed putting a lengthy document out on a state bid website to procure services for the shared ride taxi service. After that process, we had 2 proposals submitted. What you have in front of you is a contract with the best technical and lowest price score. So you, when you rate these out, you rate them based on the technical score, and the price cab had the best technical score and the lowest price. So they scored the best. So this is a contract. It's the same form contract that is done every time we do this. And then there's a lease agreement because the city technically owns the vehicles. They lease them and use them for service. The contract amount is for $30.14 per hour. So that is an increase from the existing contract of around, I think, $28 or $27, somewhere in that. So there is an increase with it, but the other proposal came in at like $36 an hour. So Brown Cab has been doing this for us for a long time, I believe. And this is just kind of the last piece to the puzzle. So we have to approve this by December 31st at the DOT, for the DOT. So that's the summary.
Thank you. Any questions?
Make a motion to approve the contract.
Second. Been moved by David, second by John Split. Any discussion or questions? Julian.
I think we are so lucky to have a transportation service in this community. There are personally so many people that I know that utilize it. And I know that during this pandemic, I had talks with the manager in the beginning about making sure the drivers were masked and keep people safe, and there was a concern about transporting folks between assisted living. I think that it probably hasn't been easy, but I'm really proud of our taxi service that they have persisted. Probably they're experiencing a difficulty in getting drivers, like many businesses are trying to find. So anyways, I just want to say they can't utilize it, and so this has been a hardship for them. And we also know that annually we talk about how our taxi service doesn't go to Fond du Lac or Oshkosh, and we have folks that have medical perhaps appointments in those areas. Now this is not the time, I think it's not in this here, right, that we're not going to fix that in this contract. However, I do wish that these are things that we could look at, and perhaps maybe that is something to be added to the contract, being able to have transportation to Oshkosh or Fond du Lac, as an example.
Oh.
To respond, Jolene, there are other options that are funded by public state funding for those to Oshkosh, Fond du Lac, Neenah, Berlin, other organizations. For the taxi company to be able to provide that specialized transportation is very, very, and so consequently there are other options through managed care organizations and the Aging and Disability Resource Center of Fond du Lac County for those people. So it's very, very expensive to provide that specialized transportation.
I appreciate you saying that, and I do think that we need to be doing better to get that out to the community, because it is something, with the League of Women Voters, we've done studies, and it continues to come up that there are folks that struggle for that. So I'm grateful to recognize that there are people that are still finding it hard for that transportation.
Thank you. Jim, did you have a question?
No. I'm good. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Another thing I will just bring to light, I've had taxi drivers say that even though the fares are low, that there are people that ask them that they can't even afford that out of their own pockets. So again, I just want to say how important this is, and I think it really is important to recognize the service that they're doing.
Hear, hear.
Thank you. Sorry. Any further discussion then? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the lease agreement and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Thank you. That is approved. Moving on to our next item, Common Council confirmation of Finance Director / Assistant City Administrator. Adam.
So, as noted, there was an amended agenda, so yesterday we had confirmation that we have an individual that has accepted an offer that was presented to them late last week. So per the ordinance, this is that kind of finance director position that is appointed by the city administrator and then subject approval by the common council. We went through a lengthy process to get to this point, longer than I had anticipated. I would say of everything, we had 8 qualified applicants, maybe 9. We interviewed 4. Multiple people dropped out along the way. And at the end of it all, we have a candidate in Amanda Toney from Green Lake. She is currently the Green Lake County Treasurer and Real Estate Property Lister. Has other finance experience and an education in finance and business administration. So this is the candidate I am bringing forward for approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but we are finally here.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there
Second.
motion by David, second by Al? Questions, comments? In favor of approving Amanda Toney as the Finance Director / Assistant City Administrator, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved.
Thank you.
All right, next item is appointment of electing deputies, election registration officials, and municipal board of canvass members for 2022 and 2023 cycle.
Move to approve.
Any questions or discussion? Jim?
No, in the spirit too is a big thank you to all those. I know Ann and this group does a great job when it comes to election time, and people put a lot of time and effort into. Thank them for their service. A lot of them, some of the names have been on here for a lot of years, so thank them for the time and service to the community.
Agreed.
I see the spouse of one of the individuals that spoke in our public comment who's running for election. I just want to point that out.
Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? As approved. right, moving on. Next item is to authorize city administrator to seek applications for the city clerk position.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Howard, seconded by Page. Any discussion? Questions?
Is it your intention, Adam, to use the proposal for the recruitment service that through Government USA?
So, if this were a situation where we were starting over and didn't have a finance position, I would say 100% yes, we need help doing this kind of work, particularly in the situation where we are, searching for two individuals that have very important roles within this organization. In this particular case, Ann has done the city an incredible solid by giving us 6 months' notice. But there's only a few months until an election. And we need someone here. I am not sitting here saying that we need to go through a recruitment firm to post this position, to try this. I can run the recruitment. What I will say is that there is an advantage to having that, and I wish we would have had it with the last position, for the mere fact that the only reason we really got this applicant was because of those people, okay? There was a recommendation and a guiding to this role from a recruitment agency that we were talking to. So, I know it's a lot of money, $6,000. Right now, we are a shotgun approach. We post it out on, League of Wisconsin Municipalities. We go as far as the websites that are horrible, like Indeed, but you just have to get it out and hope that some people see it. My conversations with recruitment firms is they have their databases, they have their people that they know are looking, they have their people, and they can strategically ask or forward information to people that may, be interested and really sell the position. I do not have the time currently, as much as I would love to do this, to Google every deputy clerk and clerk in this entire region and email them this position. That is what we sort of get by having somebody take this on. Frankly, if you didn't have a recruitment firm for this position, I don't know if I would be sitting here.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah, and so I'm not requesting that this be a part of it. I'm saying this is an option. Would it be helpful? I think so. Can we do it without it? Yes. Can we afford to drag this position out as long as we did the last one? Absolutely not. And I think we do need to, with some of these more administrative level positions that have come up, if we don't have internal candidates ready to go, if we're going to broaden the search, we need somebody working for us to really target instead of just splattering ads everywhere and hoping the right person sees it. On top of the fact, it does sometimes feel good for somebody to ask you to apply.
With that, I would make a motion to approve the application or the authorization to recruit for the position utilizing GovUSA as the recruiting firm.
Second.
So we did have a motion.
Who was the?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion was,
But who was, you made the original motion?
I did.
Oh, you made the original motion.
we're amending it to include utilizing Gov. Is that the original motion? Friendly
Plus the amendment.
accepted?
Yep.
So it will include seeking out the position utilizing Gov.USA or whatever they are
Yeah.
to assist.
And they're the same firm that's helping us with Daniela as the interim finance person. So they know our situation pretty well.
And I would just echo the comments of Adam and obviously the president of the council, that this type of position certainly lends it to have professional assistance so that we move forward and all of us know the importance of elections in this day and age. And to get somebody on board quicker than later is really critical.
I would agree. Any further discussion or questions?
So it's a $4,000 flat fee and up to $2,000 for advertising. That's what I'm reading. So it could be a little less.
Okay.
But not more.
And we would use all of that $2,000 advertisement alone just to do this too, so.
Yeah. So
You
it's
know.
not really 6,000 by using this, by using that.
And ultimately, we'll get a pile, hopefully a long pile of applicants, and we'll review them, and we'll handle it from there. We'll make the selection. But I mean, I think this is really on the front end of you know, getting people excited and applying, so.
I think it goes without saying for all of us that are sitting around these tables that we understand the importance of what Ann does, what our city clerk does. And I'm not sure everybody in the city always understands the importance, because we often, you know, Ann's name isn't in the headlines, and that's a good thing in this case often.
She doesn't really like it.
Yeah. So I think it's one of these positions where if you have someone bad, wow, are we going to experience the negative ramifications? And if we have someone good, this really helps propel our city and everyone in a good place. So again, I would expect that if there's anyone sitting around the table that has questions about the importance of the city clerk, but I think it's pretty obvious to all of us here involved in government.
I think the last 2 years have highlighted the incredible work and the importance of city as is very, very valuable.
Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing city administrator to seek applicants for a city clerk position utilizing GovHR, say aye.
Aye.
That is approved. Our last action item of the evening is resolution establishing rates charged for ambulance services. Mitch, would you like to step forward and give us a summary?
Good evening, everyone. I've been here a lot lately. Approval of the rates as presented. One thing to note is that we did not have a rate increase last year. A couple things. COVID kind of got in the way of that. As you recall, there was a pretty heated debate about dispatch and stuff, so I think that took up a lot of the time, and that council meeting. So this kind of got, usually every year I presented here what we did. I worked with Dan Williams on this, who, by the way, will be getting a side note. We'll be getting a full report from him very shortly. By the next council, we'll present something for that. So across the board, except for our base charges, we just went up by $50 for transport charges and $25 for sign-off refusal charges. So something to remember is that we, as a service, spoke about this in a previous council meeting, about 70% of all of our calls are some sort of government assistance program, so Medicare, Medicaid.
What does standby mean?
Standby is, well, I should take that back. Football game, we don't charge a standby rate for like Ripon High School or Ripon College, but playoff standbys, stuff like that, WIA will send a check to the team, both teams contribute, but stuff like that, if we were contacted by, actually, in fact, we were contacted by a business today at the Pettit Center in Milwaukee. I don't know why, but they called, they're looking for ambulances to do a standby search for some event there, and that would be the hourly rate that we charge them.
I'm just gonna say it's been several years since we've increased those rates, so. We certainly recommend approval.
Jim?
I'll second. For more discussion.
That's a motion.
So yours is official motion, and Jim, we have a second. Do you have a question?
Yeah, and then as far as like industry standards, I mean, private services, municipal services, I mean, we're not out of whack, we're in line.
No, we're over $1,000, but again, they're only going to get as much as we get from Medicare, and what they try to do though is I don't want to say take advantage, but I mean every now and then they'll get a private pay, and it's a big payday.
Service.
It was probably 3 years ago, Jim.
It was
just after paramedic service.
Yeah, it was at least 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. So.
Yeah.
No.
I recall 3 years ago.
That's all right. Thank you.
But I'm old, so we'll forget things.
I'm impressed you remember 3 years ago.
Any more questions for Mitch? All right, thank you, Mitch.
Thanks for writing for that.
Any more questions in general? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the resolution establishing rates charged for ambulance service, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Moving on to our discussion item of ATVs, UTVs. Is there a motion to take this off the table? One more time. It's off the table. With no motion, this remains on the table. Be possible to bring off the table at a later date. Moving on to project updates and staff reports. Adam.
Okay. You have my report. Have that. So we've submitted everything to the Wisconsin Disaster Fund. You can see that from the storm. I did help, and Craig and I did work on a grant for the Village Green through the Department of Administration. Just started working on the housing study stuff and applying for a couple other grants. We were awarded a $19,922.50 grant
from the DNR for the 2022 urban forestry grant. So that will help again with tree inventory, operations plan, emerald ash borer management, and then planting trees. So we had budgeted money to match that, but we'll get our urban forestry program kind of back up and running with that grant in 2022. And that is it.
Thank you. Public Works.
Nothing here.
Water Department. Ambulance. Nothing more. Nothing from police.
I will add, we did have a boil water, bottle water advisory. There's an article in the paper that I think explained it very well as we summarized it. So, you know, I wrote a little bit in the report. So we had some maintenance done to the SCADA system. That ended up overnight after that work failing. The software and system dates back to the 90s. It is something we've put in the budget to replace this coming year. So it's been on our radar, and we're going to replace that whole system for a high cost. Jeremy can add anything, but really we've put in place some protective measures to prevent this from happening again. So what happened is the system failed. It didn't pump water overnight, lowering pressure in the towers. So there's some other things we'll invest in or investigate as well to make sure that we're just in a better place to begin with. Adding stir rods or bubblers in the towers so we can actually fill the towers all the way, because in the wintertime they can freeze. So we don't keep them as high. So there are things we've been working on. We had an after action meeting just with staff and DNR to talk about what went well, what we could have done better. So there's work that has come out of that. So not something that happens frequently, but it happened, and again, we apologize for the inconvenience because we know it was very disruptive.
Jim.
In that recap meeting, I know I had a call from one of my constituents and two others talked to me about other ways that we could notify public besides obviously Facebook, the newspaper, you know, online, things like that, people that may not have those outlets.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of them just, you know, the thing is they don't have any of those, so they didn't even know about it till 4 o'clock that night, and they'd use water, things like that. Is there any progress to that, of anything we could do through the city notification system like we do with agendas, or anything, an email from the secretary or yourself when there is an issue like a snow emergencies, water issues, just an FYI of something going on in the community?
Yep.
We'll be flushing hydrants, or we are, you know, today is the last day for leaf removal, you know, different things. Mm-hmm. Besides the individual.
Yes.
Stuff.
So just to recap, we issued the order, and it went out on social media, the local paper, local radio.
News.
Put it out. The news picked it up just naturally. I mean, it kind of just spread. We understand that there are people that aren't connected or don't have Facebook or you know, I mean, there were businesses that didn't know, or you know, so we had to have employees, you know, go physically into businesses and tell them to stop using, you know, the soda fountain. I asked the DNR the same exact thing. How did we do? You know, like, is there anything in your experience that we could do better with notifying? And he said you guys got a lot of traction, and you did a decent job. The only other thing is like a reverse 911 or some sort of program or some sort of notification system. You know, we have like the county has like Code Red, which you know, really doesn't work for, you know, just it works like countywide for emergencies. So you can, Chief may be able to mention on what that capabilities are, but the county does have some of that. How can we implement something like that? I have, you know, through we have a website update coming for next year. The company that offers that service also offers a second service called Connect that includes everything from text, email, voice message, calls, social media posting, to have one comprehensive message go out that would be specific to the city of Ripon. You still have to sign up, okay? So we could put everything in place, but there's still that the user or the resident has to sign up. Those come at a cost. We are exploring them because, I think we could use those, across our organization to get information out. But at the end of the day, yeah, there are going to be people that are missed. And in this particular case, thankfully, if somebody did drink the water from that period, it was safe. And so we are exploring that. And obviously, even with the storm we had over this summer too, trying to get information out, we rely heavily on social media, but we forget that there are people that don't have that, so I think it has shown a need to look into that, but at what cost, we will bring that forward, I think, in the coming months.
And how we can broaden that to hit other areas in the city.
And that's
You learn and grow, and you learn from an experience, and we move on, and we do precautions and backup plans, and go from there.
So something akin to like Amber Alert. I mean, obviously you get hundreds of those beeping on your phone, on your telephone, on your TV. Is there something akin to that? I mean, because that everybody gets
Amber.
in one form or another. I mean, that's, I think, what we're
It
driving.
may also pay for us to investigate when we have these things moving forward, our partners in the community that have, significant broadcasting capabilities, shall we say, the school district, perhaps Ripon College, Main Street, the Chamber, all of these things. Everybody's got their lists. They have those connections. They have this, hey, can you put this out for us ASAP? And all of those type of things. So there are other options too, using the capabilities and talents of our community partners to be able to do those type of things. So many of our businesses and all have those capabilities. So if you can look at where those partners are and rely on them to forward the message in these situations where it's necessary, that may not be a bad thing either.
Yep.
And I'm sure most of those organizations or whatever would be more than happy to do so.
Yeah, I was looking for Craig, because I think I got it 3 times from him, so I think I'm on 3 different lists with him.
You made the list, buddy.
Yeah, I made a list, all right. But no, I want to thank Jeremy and his crew, obviously, too, because obviously that was a big deal. I mean, that's the first time in my career, all years, I'm assuming as well, that we've had something of that significance. So
yes,
obviously, thank you for your work and effort to try to make it better in the future as well, and fixing it, obviously. Sorry, bud.
Oh, that's fine. Sorry, I was a little nervous to come up here because I haven't yet. But I guess one little thing I'd like to thank everybody for their patience as we dealt with this issue. It's not a very common thing to happen, and so we're kind of just doing what we could in the quickest manner possible. I'd also like to commend all the water operators. During the day, they did a great job to resolve the issue and get us back to normal as quickly as we could. So.
Thank you.
Thank you and your staff.
If there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
How do you like the new job? Thank you, Jeremy. Well, really, truly.
All right.
Good conversation.
Howard.
I'd like to just take a moment and let the community know that we have the skating rink all assembled, ready to go. I ask that you respect our wishes by staying off it. We just spent $3,000 on a liner. This is money that came from private donations, fundraisers, so that we can make ice sooner. We don't have to wait for the ground to freeze. After the heat wave we're going to have tomorrow, the temperature is really going to drop. so we'll be able to start putting water in there. Our goal is to have it open before Christmas. We need you to stay off it, respect it. We will post on our Facebook page when it's open. Main Street will also post it. Chamber will post it. Last year, we had some vandalism problems which kept delaying the opening. If everybody can cooperate, we can get it open quicker and everybody can have a great winter skating. So if you have any questions regarding it, please give me a call and I'll answer any of your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Efforts.
yes.
Yeah, how are you and Casey and all the volunteers? Great job.
Thank you.
Any other project updates?
Howard, are there signs on there right now to say, please stay off? Is that posted on premise?
No, those are going up tomorrow. Right now, like I said, we just got everything set and ready because we knew we were going to have the heat wave today and tomorrow and that.
Yeah.
Roll from there. And we'll be using Jeremy's good clean water.
Full pressure.
There are snipers on the top of Ripon.
Okay. So as mentioned earlier in the meeting, I do have appointments today. All three are for the Business Improvement District. These would all be renewals of current members. David Knuth, TJ Rogers, and Sarah Willett. It's a 3-year term, so it would expire at the end of 2024. Move to approve.
Second. Go ahead.
Moved by Jim, second by Paige. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are approved. This is going to be our last meeting of the year. So I would just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Have a safe, healthy gathering with families and friends. Is there any future agenda items or comments from the council? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Been moved by Paige. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by David. All those in favor of adjournment say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned, or opposed? We are adjourned at 8:04. Thank you very much.
8:04 p.m. officially adjourned. The Ripon Common Council, as Jim Wirch puts on his coat. It's cold in Ripon tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause for being smart enough to be here. I enjoyed this, and this is the last Common Council show of the year. My goodness. My, oh my, how time does fly.
Getting done very little.
We will return again Wednesday night with Jerry Hicks and the Dark Wolf's Den Show. And I will take you through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as the Ripon Rabbit Hole live show continues.